All right, so let's start this broadcast with some input that have just come in, where according to sources, it is now being reported that the Quad summit that was slated to happen in the month of January 2024 is unlikely to happen in 2024 in the month of January. And the summit is likely to take place later in the year. Now, according to sources, authorities are looking at revised dates as the current dates do not work with all the Quad partners. Now, the initial date that had been proposed for the summit was the 27th of January, with American President Joe Biden being the chief guest at India's Republic Day parade. But around the same time, Australia will also have the Australia Day, and Japan is also holding its parliamentary session, and the United States will have the State of the Union address. Now, these are some of the dates that appear to have clashed, which is why, according to sources, the Quad summit is unlikely to happen in the month of January, that is next month. To give us more insights into this, we're being joined in by WION's Siddhant, who is standing by with more information. Siddhant, this is some breaking news that has just come in, where the Quad summit is unlikely to take place next month as was originally planned.
Well, yes, India is expected to host the Quad summit in 2024, and India had proposed the date of 27th of January with the US President Biden expected to travel to India to be the chief guest. Now, because of the scheduling issues, as we know that Japan will be busy with the Diet session, Australia with the Australia Day, and US with the State of the Union address, it is now confirmed that the Quad summit is not going to happen. It will happen, but it also depends on the election cycles, both here in India. India will start its election cycle from March, and in US as well. So it is naturally expected that the summit could happen between June and July. But essentially, the big question is that the US president is not coming now. The announcement first, of course, came from the US ambassador, who said that India has extended an invite to US President Joe Biden to be the chief guest. So now it is clear that Biden will not be the chief guest. So who will be the chief guest? This is the big questions. There are, of course, many names as well who are floating around, including, of course, the name of the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as well. But essentially, India's commitment, and all the four countries who are part of the Quad grouping, their commitment towards this grouping remains. We know that Quad has grown leaps and bounds in past few years. There have been annual summits. In fact, earlier this year also we saw that the Quad summit that was to happen in Australia could not happen because of the American domestic compulsions, and because of that the Quad summit happened in Japan on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Hiroshima. So when it comes to hosting summits and getting all the leaders together, there are always procedural difficulties, but it does not mean that there is less of commitment by New Delhi, Canberra, Tokyo and Washington.
Absolutely, indeed, Siddhant. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us those updates. We'll, of course, come back to you as more details emerge in the story. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.